Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dean Rogers Show. Today, we've got another special guest, Mr. Andrew Lucas. What's up, Andrew?
What's happening, Dean? Thanks for having me, man.
Of course. Thanks for being here, man. I'm stoked to get into your story and find out more about you. You started as a hotel general manager and we're having a great career and everything, but then you realized you were missing freedom. I think,
Yeah, man.
we all have a similar story about how we got into real estate because we wanted freedom. And I think you and I will probably shout from the mountaintops till our face goes blue about how real estate is just an amazing tool, amazing business, amazing industry to be able to create those freedoms and lifestyle. You had no time with the wife and the kids, and you were just like, what do I got to do here? You found real estate back in 2007. I'm sure you got plenty of stories you'll share with us on your journey, starting with the best time to start in real estate when everything went crazy. And if you guys want to connect with Andrew, great place to find him is right on Facebook. You can go to Andrew Lucas, find Andrew Lucas on Facebook. And you can also go to dealfindersclub.com where Andrew is teaching people how to find discounted properties, which is where we're going to get into your story and what you love teaching. So, dude, let's dive in here, man. Let's talk about 2007. Let's get out of the hotel GM business. Let's get into real estate. What was that like?
Yeah, man. So we are here in Columbia, South Carolina. And so 2007 was just like everywhere else, except our market has just been real slow. Like, California, it leads up and then it leads down. South Carolina, we're slow in everything, right? So our market just was hanging out, didn't no real big ups or downs through that crazy time. But 2007, I actually graduated college. I moved home for about a month and a half, and I was like, "This is for the birds. I'm not doing this." And all through college, I was paying rent, and me and my roommates were like, "Gosh, these landlords, they must be rich, man. They got it made. They know exactly what to do. We're paying all their bills." And so we're like, okay, let's go do it. Let's go get a house. So my roommate and I at the time, we figured if we put our names together, our money together, we could go buy one. Well, 2007, we didn't probably need half of our income. They would have given us a house no matter what. So it ended up in my name, but he was still my partner on it for a little while. And we bought this house. And just to kind of tell people, you don't need to know everything. In real estate, there's a lot of room for mistakes if you hang on long enough. We actually were dumb enough to so many mistakes. We went and called the agent whose name was on the sign and thought that he was going to help us. He didn't care one lick about us. He was helping his seller. And we were like, "Are we getting a good deal?" He's like, "Of course you're getting a good deal." Because he's getting 6%. We were
Yep.
so naive, didn't know anything, overpaid. And then our smart selves, we took a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. We tore down a wall so that we could have a bigger party room. This is straight out of college, right? So we had a beer pong or ping pong or pool table. I think it was a ping pong table added. But we took out, one rental room. So that was a big mistake. But that lasted about 10 months. I got a new job and moved out of town, put the wall back up, turned it into a 3-bedroom house, and started renting out the house right after that. So that was kind of like the bug, right? The real estate bug was planted early in college years, just thinking that those landlords were getting paid. Now knowing what we were paying them in rent, they were not making any money at all. And especially with all the expenses they were going to incur after we moved out. So we got started. And then what really got the ball rolling is the house across the street. We had that house. I went back, a year or two later to change a toilet flapper or something. I don't know what it was, but the house across the street had become vacant. The old man was gone. The grass was high. And I didn't know. I didn't have YouTube and all these, your podcast, my podcast. We didn't have all this out here to know what to do. But I somehow Google, I don't know if I Google, I guess Google's around. I just looked it up, found the guy who had now owned it, his address, and wrote him a letter. I said, hey, I
Hmm.
own the house across the street. I'd like to buy this one if you want to sell it. And it was, I pulled up the emails. It was like 11 or 12 months later when that guy called me.
Dang.
The guy put my letter in a drawer or on the fridge, called and said, I'm done. It was his great uncle. It's like, my great uncle left this house a mess. I've cleaned it, but it's junk. So that was house number two, right there in our, right in our neighborhood, right across the street. House number three was a block back. And all this kind of was going from 2007 to about 2016 ish, when my wife and I, we had 4 or 5 rental houses and 3 kids with one on the way. And that was the time when we said, we got to do something.
Now, how'd you figure out how to pay for those?
Manager.
How'd you figure out how to pay for those deals? Because I know that can be something that holds people back. Did you have some money saved up from working hard in the job you had, or like how'd you figure out how to buy those houses?
Yeah, there's ignorance is bliss sometimes. So I was managing the hotel, and one of the people we hired part time, she worked at a mortgage office. So I said, hey, I don't know what to do. Who should I call? So she said, call this guy. I went into his office and that first house that we bought. He worked us up a deal where we got first time home buyer credits. I'm sure it was like state housing type funds or whatever. I ended up walking away from closing with $350 in a check. I took zero money and I walked away with money because of the program he put us in. We didn't have to put a down payment down.
Dang.
That allowed us, that gave us some more, beer pong money. So, yeah. But that was just asking questions. And one of the things that we teach all the time for people is you don't have to know everything. You don't have to know what you're going to do with this house. You don't have to know how you're going to finance it for the next 30 years. What you do need to know is like what questions to ask and who can help you. Right. So I asked a mortgage officer, I said, this is where I'm at. What can you do? What's the best thing? I'd like to put no money down. I think I went in there and said, I'd like to put as little money down as possible. He said, all right, let's figure out what we can do. So there's loan programs for that, right? There's still loan programs for that. And then the next one, the guy didn't want very much for it compared to the house value. I did not have the money saved up like maybe I should. And so we found a partner that paid for the property, and then we financed the renovations and went and refied it afterwards. Again, I asked the mortgage officer, I said, hey, I got to buy this house. What can we do? He said, well, I can't touch it. He's like, I can't give you a $20,000 loan to buy this thing, but if you get it fixed up, I can help you after. And that right now I'm saying it's like common sense, right? Like, well, duh, you just burr it, right? Everyone knows what burr is. Well, that was the term didn't exist back then. But I just asked him questions, right? You've got to swallow whatever pride you have in your life when you're coming into real estate, and just be humble and ask questions and be open to hear the answers from people, especially people that have done this before. Right.
I love that message,
because
I've seen so many people hold themselves back because they're not asking questions at all. And I've seen others that are brand spanking new. They're just driven. They're hungry, and they're willing to ask questions no matter how simple or complex, and they learn from it and grow from there. I mean, that's the best thing you can do, is just be willing to ask, be willing to not be the smart person. I got one of my good friends here in San Diego that I just admire because he's very successful, but anytime he's in a room, he just plays like he's the dumbest guy and says it openly and says he doesn't know anything and asks the questions, and he just gets so much good information and answers because he's willing to ask.
Yeah. I love that. And just be willing to listen too. So there's a few people I'm thinking of that are like that. All the simple questions, simple, the easy questions to ask. Sometimes like, well, this is too dumb to ask. They ask them, and then it leads to the next, to the next, and that just builds confidence and instructions along the way. But then there's other people that run so fast and they never ask questions. Then they look back and realize, oh, I didn't know I needed to do that, right? And they skip all
Yeah.
these steps. So um, just being willing to ask and listen is huge, and that's where we ended up in. So fast forward to like 2016 when my wife and I were trying to figure out what to do because, like you said, the freedom wasn't there as a hotel manager. Like I had decent hours, but I was always quote on call, right? I was always had to be available to answer the phone, and sometimes I'd have to go in third shift. And my wife was a director in financial services company, and so she had a lot of stress on her, and it just wasn't. We were like, this isn't what we want to be forever, and we didn't have the growth potential that we really would have liked in our current positions. So uh, we said, all right, well, let's do real estate. We had a couple of houses under our belt. We had done some renovations. So we said, let's flip houses so that we can buy more rentals. And in doing so, we also said we need help. And so we reached out and we got a couple of coaches that would help us along the way, help us figure out how to do the refinances, how to buy more rental properties with less upfront cash, and ultimately was how to live off of a real estate business because we both were coming from W-2s. We wanted to, how do you structure this business so that it can pay us and we can live as opposed to just a business that's going. And that's where we ended up in 2018. We both left our jobs and been in real estate full time ever since. Yeah.
Just didn't look back.
Yeah. I mean, we just kept going and using people around us, building a network, asking questions, bringing people in and creating a community, finding the right community. And then we created the community here in town. And so that just kept us going, right? We just kept getting the right people to help us plug along into the next deal. So it all started with just finding the deals. That's kind of where it all starts. And that's what we were talking about, the Deal Finders Club.
Yeah. What was it like through your journey? I mean, did you have ups and downs and struggles? Was it just kind of like your market in South Carolina where it was just kind of like slow and steady moving on up, or like what was it like for you?
Yeah, the very slow and steady in the beginning. The first 9 years or so, it was one house every other year. Uh, my wife lived in a house and she moved out, then we got married, so that became a rental, right? So it was real
Hmm.
slow. And the goal was retirement. We were thinking rental houses for retirement. And then that 2016 epiphany hit when we said, you know what, real estate can actually make money today if we actually focus on it and said, let's make it a business. So then we catapulted and we went from, I think we had five at that point to in 2018 when we walked away from our W-2s, we were up to 35. So those two
Wow.
years were very hectic, very wild with, three
Yeah.
young kids under four. Um, both had two jobs, both had full-time jobs. We were flipping houses, buying rentals. That was an insane 2 years. And I look
Yeah.
back and I don't remember any of it. So, but then come, 2018 or 19, 2020, and we're in the business. We've really just been um, going with the base of we have our business, we have our model, and we know we want to grow, but we're not trying to go crazy. So that keeps us on a steady growth. I would say 2020 was a challenge, very much a challenge, a scary time when we had rental houses we need to pay mortgages on, didn't know if tenants were going to pay. It worked out fine. We didn't really have too many issues. One or two people took advantage of it, but nothing to worry about. And then the market we're in now, we're looking at it and it is just so hot for so long and then it stops. So that's not it's not bad. We're just kind of recalibrating and
Yep.
trying to understand, where is it stopping? What's the new normal? It's not any worse than pre-COVID. We just got to recalibrate. So, we haven't been no real big jumps except for that 2 year period. Everything else has been pretty steady.
Yeah. What's your team look like now?
So we kind of try to run it lean and mean. Our home buying, Columbia Cash home buyers is what traditionally people think of as like the wholesaling, but we don't really wholesale. So that's our marketing arm. That's our home buying arm. And we do a lot of postcards and TV commercials and, all that. That's where we put all the marketing. And we have two full-time people there and then a VA that kind of pulls lists and does marketing and stuff. Um, that's an acquisitions person and then a manager that handles dispo and oversees acquisitions. And then we have our retail brokerage where we sell, just like sell houses. There's 4 agents there. Me and my wife really handles the flips. And then we have an assistant that kind of handles us, manages our calendars and all that kind of stuff. So it's not a huge team, and we're okay with that. Everyone is on fire. They love to come to work. We have great atmosphere. We do have another person that works in the brokerage, transaction coordinator. So we focus on building a team, an environment of people that want to be here, they enjoy each other. Our culture is important. I cringe when I hear my wife say, she's like, everybody on the team is required to take 3 weeks off vacation. Like, she will kick them out of the office if they don't go. And I'm like, what? How can you do that? What are you talking about? But that's the way we live, right? We have this freedom. And so we're trying to help our team live that way, So we have a great team. We love it.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that you've got actually a good sized team there. And it sounds like you've got people that are doing a great job at what they're doing, which allows you to have more freedom, which is the whole reason why you got into it. So I was kind of curious, like how you put it together, because sometimes freedom is just the freedom of making your own choices, right? Some people might be happy with the fact they're, just completely swamped with what they're doing because they love it so much. And that in itself could be freedom. They have the freedom to do that whether they want or not. But I think the ultimate goal for most of us is to be able to have time freedom to choose to do what we want. So you can spend more time with your family, right? Like I went and dropped my kids off on a hike this morning. We signed them up for this fun little program. They went on a hike. They went and, played a Nerf gun battle and stuff like that. It was a whole thing. And my wife and I, we got 4 kids now. We all went while the kids went off with the group. We went on our own little, hike, took our time, and, had the freedom to do that. Right. So I think that's awesome. So, so tell me about the Deal Finders Club. I'm really interested about this. You and I, both coach and help students. And I think when you're helping other people, you can only do it successfully if you're passionate about it. And I want to know about the Deal Finders Club. And I know we talked a little bit before we started. I love the kind of the origination, like the starting point for a lot of people and the messaging that you have around that. So let's dive into the Deal Finders Club. I want to know more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're right. Like the passion for it has to be there, and our team allows me the freedom to do this, to do Deal Finders Club and to teach other people with focus, right? I can focus on them and make sure they're getting their deals. So it started. So I go back to that 2016 where my wife and I knew we needed something more. I went and signed up and did graduate school. So I had my master's in hospitality, international hospitality, because I knew like God gave me a gift of teaching and coaching. And so I was going to be a professor. The university was like, yeah, you can come teach. If you get your master's, you could be a professor here. So I was going to do that as my, as the extra income. Well, I graduated in like May of 2018 and then quit hospitality and hadn't looked back. So coaching Deal Finders Club is my way of is teaching, right? That's
Yeah.
filling that need to give back to help other people do this. So what we found, and the reason it's called Deal Finders Club, is we were coaching and helping people with make a business almost from scratch, usually, where we would walk them through getting deals, flipping the deals, or buying rentals, and then dispoing, whatever that looked like, wholesaling or keeping. And so we were helping folks, and we couldn't do that many at a time, right? When you're trying to build their business from scratch and go all the way to the end, so that they have full business, that takes a while. But what we were finding is that the most important part, the thing that was really moving the needle, was helping the students actually like mentally and physically start finding deals. It was a big mindset shift and an eye-opening experience for them to actually see what was around them. And so what we talk about is everybody's deal that I talk to, the people that we've coached and on my podcast, is that everybody's deal is right around them. Their first,
Hmm.
second, third deal normally is like within arm's reach, literally right now. The problem we have, especially when we first start out, is either we don't know what to look for or we're afraid to open our eyes and see it because we don't know what to do next.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you feel
I
that?
do. Yeah. No, it's like you know what you need to do, but you're so scared to pick up the phone because the
Yep.
fear of failure, the fear of success. Like there's just so many feelings that overwhelm you to prevent you from just doing the things you might even know you need to do.
Yeah. Yeah. You're sitting there like, and it hit home for me. And I share this story with people, but, because I'm an idiot for it. We moved, our family, we moved in 2013 and I wasn't ready. We were in real estate. We had rental houses and I knew what a deal kind of was, but the house across the street, we almost didn't buy this house because the house across the street, we knew it was a rental, wasn't really well taken care of. But as we moved in, we were like, you know what, they'll move out. The next people will be fine. Well, we could see it happening. The house, the tenants were messing up, like they weren't paying. We knew things were going on. Then they get evicted, right? And then it goes into foreclosure and it went for sale on the market, on the MLS. And I'm like sitting on my porch. This is when we had an infant. And I remember with my wife sitting on the porch, watching people come tour the house, walk through the house to buy it. I never even went over there until the guy had already bought it and he flipped it and he made a $75,000 profit in literally my front yard.
Mm.
And it didn't do anything about it because at that time I was afraid. I was afraid of what to do next. I just didn't
Mhm.
know. And what we try to tell people and teach people is open your eyes. When you see that deal, go get it. When you get the deal, we will figure out what's next, right? We will find the person that knows what to do next or show you what to do next. So that still hurts my heart. Although we did get some really fun neighbors. We love our neighbors across the street. But the guy that flipped it, he walked away with what could have been our profit.
Yeah, no kidding. I think that's a great story to share because it's the reality that I mean, there's deals all around you. And as you said
Yeah.
before we started, oftentimes they're right in your neighborhood right now. You just got to look for
Mm-hmm.
them. Chances are there's a house on your street or in the neighborhood that's just run down, or you can just kind of notice, you can kind of sense there's issues going on, whether it's people coming in
Yeah.
and out. And it's it's your responsibility if you're in the business and looking for deals, like go get curious, go find out some answers, go ask some good questions, get some good answers back, and now you know what to do with it, right? um
Yeah.
so I love that
Yeah.
story.
Yeah. And that's kind of what we talk about. We see it all the time is that there are people that literally create a business just on their own backyard, just on their own community. We see it a lot with real estate agents, right? There might be this really
Yep.
good home development, right? Housing development. And that's all they sell, right? For 2 years, 3 years, and that's all they do. Well, that could be the same for investors, right? If you find your market, your little territory, and you just hunt and get everything out, find all the deals in that little market, that little community, and then by then you're going to be pretty good at it, and you'll be able to move on to the next. So,
Yeah. So what are some ninja tips? Like, what are some ninja tips for people that are listening to this that are just getting started? They're wanting to do their first deal. They've heard probably enough
yeah,
times, and we've just reiterated it now. Like, it's in your neighborhood. Go do something about it. It's not going to just fall in your lap, and the closing docs are just going to show up at your front door. Like, you gotta put in the work. What are some ninja tips for people to either kick themselves in the butt and get going, or like what are some tips for people on how to find those deals and do something about it? Like, how do they know what's next?
yeah, absolutely. The one thing, the very first thing that we tell people is to figure out, why are you doing this? What is it in your life, in your situation, like what makes you want to do this, and be ready to share it. I've got a dog over here coming up. So
That's right. I'm surprised I don't have my kids running around in the background. So
we so be ready to share that, because what happens is, in your community, like, you want to be that person, that community person that people will come to, and people aren't going to come to you unless they know you and they like you, right? So sharing your story, like, I have two kids and I want them to have a better life than I did, or I need to put one through college or whatever. I need to buy a car. So go find out why you were trying to get this deal, right? What I'm trying to find a investment house or a discount house because of this, and be ready to share it. And then get out in the community. The best thing to do is to take one of these dogs and walk around your neighborhood.
right.
Walk around your neighborhood, start talking to the neighbors, see what's up with the house that looks vacant, why haven't they cut the grass, start getting those little tidbits. I'm telling you, that's like one deal, right? That's not going to create your whole business. That's not going to be a business you scale, but that's one deal that gets you started and can propel you to a 10, 20, 30, $75,000 profit that will be, could set you and get you out of your day job or whatever that is, set you up and start you down that path of becoming a real estate investor. So the number one thing is, we try to tell people, is like, start here. Start with what's in your backyard. Start with what you know, the people you know, and then you can go big. You can go national. You can scale. You can do 100 houses a year, but you've got to start somewhere. And what we see is people on YouTube and Facebook and podcasts, like they hear people like us, that we've been doing this for years, and yeah, we do 100 transactions a year, but that's not how we started. So folks have got to get started somewhere, and that's the way we tell them. Being able to share why you're doing that, and then I go back to the one thing we started earlier, is ask for help. When you share your why, share your story, ask people for help. We start with your friends, your family, your neighbors, those people that already love you, like they trust you, like they'll help you no matter what. Like the people, if you started a multi-level marketing company right now, you're selling some pills or wrapping paper or whatever, those people that you call first, those are the ones that you call first now. And you tell them what you're doing, why you're doing it. You will be surprised at how many people will actually go out and bring you deals and find deals and hunt for you, and they don't want anything in return. They just want to see you succeed and see you win. So that's probably the three things right there that if you did that, you would be on your way to being a deal finder and getting started.
I love that. Walk the neighborhood, go talk to the nosy neighbors that know everything that's going on, right?
Yep.
Tell the people who you know what you're looking to do, and they're going to help you. And just go talk to everybody. Let them know what you're doing. Like, if you're not asking, the universe is not going to give it to you. It's just not, right?
Right.
If you're not letting them know what you're looking to do, and identifying your why is so important, because a lot of people, if they're just chasing money, then they're just going to kind of be all over the place. They're looking for the next shiny object. But if you can really get focused on why you're doing it, then that passion is really going to come through. People are going to see that, they're going to feel that, and it's going to help you throughout your journey for sure.
Yeah, when you know why you're doing it, and when you know your backstory, and you can share that, then that sits with people, and they will help you achieve your goals. If you are just saying, I want to make 20 grand, well, your neighbor, your mom, your dad, like they're not going to be helping you. But when you give them what's really the reason why, and you tell them, and you're humble enough to share that, they'll get on your team. They will go in and hunt for you. They will be part of your team, and that will help you grow and move faster and get to these deals faster. Because then you have not just your eyes open. You'll have 5, 10, 15 people with their eyes open.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, dude, Andrew, thanks so much for being on, man. It's been great.
Yeah,
Again, for people that want to be in touch with Andrew, you can go to Andrew Lucas on Facebook, connect with him there. You can also check him out on dealfindersclub.com and see what he's got going on. So, Andrew, thanks for being on. Any last words?
man, that's it, Dean. I would just say to people, go and do it. Don't just listen to the podcast. Don't watch YouTube and just dream about it. Get out there and take some action.
Amen. I love that. All right, Andrew, thanks so much for being on the show, man. We'll catch up with you soon.
Thanks, man.
All
See ya.
right, take care. Peace.